have breaking news.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Allen with Carol Goldsmith. We're awaiting a news conference out of Clemson University with the new interim football coach.
Dabo Swinney is set to talk any time now. He is on the Clemson football coaching staff. He's temporarily filling the spot left vacant today by Tommy Bowden. We're going to take you to Jeff Hart, who is standing by at the news conference. Jeff, you have been working on this story all day, and you broke this news at noon, right?
Absolutely right, Carol, and certainly the news progressing here as we go through the day. And Clemson saying earlier in the press conference with both Tommy Bowden and Terry Don Phillips, the athletic director, that Tommy Bowden stepped down. He was given the opportunity to continue coaching this season, but they said at this point it was best that the two sides are separated. And so Dabo Swinney, that is now the assistant head coach, now the interim head coach for the final 6 games of the season, and will have an opportunity to coach his way into possibly becoming the permanent head coach. That remains to be seen over what happens over the final half dozen games of the season. Clemson will play Georgia Tech here in Death Valley coming up at noon on Saturday. So we're getting ready for the press conference to begin. The Clemson players just had their first practice under Dabo Swinney and spoke to a number of players afterwards who thought that possibly the change could spark a difference in the team. The team certainly needing something coming off disappointing efforts against Maryland and Wake Forest to fall to 3-3 overall, 1-2 in the ACC. And it was a very emotional James Davis, the talented running back, who spoke to the media and got very emotional, got very choked up, and certainly the loss of Coach Bowden meant an awful lot to him, something you'll see on WIFF News 4 coming up at 11 o'clock tonight. So that is the scene from here as we're waiting for Sports Information Director Tim Bray to bring in the new interim coach Dabo Swinney, who is in his 6th year now with the Clemson Tigers, is the receivers coach. And also with Swinney now taking over, there have been some position changes. Offensive coordinator Rob Spence has been let go, and Swinney was expected to call the plays from the sideline, along with Billy Napier, who was the tight ends coach, who is now going to be coaching the quarterbacks, and Napier is now in charge of the quarterbacks, going to be calling plays with Dabo Swinney coming up on Saturday in what is a very important game for the Tigers against Georgia Tech. Sure, they're in bad shape here in the ACC, but not mathematically eliminated. They need some help from some other teams, but Terry Don Phillips, the athletic director, is saying that still the #1 goal still on the table for them, at least they hope so, and that is winning an ACC championship. The Tigers, of course, will have to make a lot of improvements if that is to happen the way they've played the last couple of weeks. They certainly haven't looked like an ACC championship contender. So, Mark, Carol, we'll continue to wait here. What's on your mind?
Well, tell us a little bit more. Tell us what you know about Dabo Swinney. We know that he's 39 years old, a native of Alabama. The thing I found intriguing is that when he came to the Crimson Tide, he was a walk-on and kind of grew from there.
Yeah, a guy that grew up as a huge Alabama fan, a native of Alabama, walked on as a receiver, made it onto the team, and one of those guys that probably as he grew up was told, you're too small, you're too short, and you can't play at the Division I level, and is one of those guys that likes to overcome the odds, is a real fiery guy. The players like him very much, so he has that going for him. And of course, this Clemson team has a couple of former head coaches in Brad Scott and Vic Cohen. Yet they go with Dabo Swinney, the assistant head coach. So he has been considered one of the real up-and-comers in college football. So they've got a very good guy here for sure. Question is what happens here over the final 6 games of the season under Dabo Swinney. But he has an opportunity to certainly coach his way into becoming the permanent head coach of the Clemson Tigers. But he is not a guy without enthusiasm, not a guy without personality. So we're going to see lots of that in the coming weeks. And talking to players after practice tonight, they enjoyed the first practice. They'll see some changes. There's going to be some wrinkles, as they call it in college football, some changes to the offense. But they can't completely change everything, of course, because they've got a system through 6 games, and you just can't scrap all of that. So the Tigers have had many problems on the offensive line. There are some things that need to be fixed quickly. Willie Korn is the new quarterback. After practice tonight, he said there is no change. He is still the starting quarterback. But Cullen Harper is going to have an opportunity to possibly win his job back should Korn falter. That is what Harper told us after practice tonight. At least that's exactly what Coach Swinney told him. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds here with some of the coaches changing positions, taking over new spots with Napier at the quarterback position and Dabo Swinney now overseeing this football team. And we'll see if it's the spark that the Clemson Tigers need. And as you saw here early today, certainly Coach Bowden ran this program with class, regardless of what you may say about him as a football coach. And the way he left here today, here at the press conference, not a lot of head football coaches show up for a parting press conference after they've stepped aside, but Coach Bowden was here today. So once again, we continue to wait. We look to the head coach's door, and still waiting to see. And Dabo Swinney was hopping into the shower after practice, so we're still a few minutes away, it looks like. Mark and Carol?
All right, Jeffy wants to look his best when he's introduced everybody out there, I guess. Now, earlier today at the news conference,
Exactly.
Jeff, which you were at 5:30 today, they were talking about Dabo Swinney, and as you mentioned tonight, they say he will interview for the head coaching position at the end of the season. Of course, a lot of that depends on how his team performs throughout the remainder of the season. But Terry Don Phillips, the athletic director, also said they're going to go nationwide with this search as well, correct?
Yeah, we've heard some other names that are certainly being thrown around, and at this point, how much do we know? There's a lot of speculation about a number of different coaches, from the Texas defensive coordinator to Bobby Johnson, the head coach at Vanderbilt. But certainly it's not exactly great journalism to be throwing all of this around right now, because it's simply speculation. So we don't necessarily want to be doing that. But I think when they had the departure today, they've got some guys in mind, and so they're going to be talking about those guys as they go down the stretch and how serious they get with them. And then of course, Dabo Swinney is going to be he's going to be in that mix, and will have an opportunity to make his case for being the Clemson head coach. And if he can be successful here down the stretch, he's going to have a foot up, obviously, because the players know him. Unless something changes here drastically over the last half of the season, he's a very popular coach. They like him. So he has a number of things going for him. And once again, he's considered really one of the up-and-comers in the world of college football. And get this, by the way, he became very disenchanted with the world of coaching for some time. And I believe he stepped away from coaching and became an insurance guy for some time, until Coach Bowden went and got him and brought him aboard. And since then, he has been a tremendous recruiter. Many of the top guys that you see now playing for the Clemson Tigers, C.J. Spiller being one of the most notable, he recruited him. And so he's done a tremendous job recruiting. We're about to see what kind of a job he does as a head coach. All right, Dabo Swinney arriving. We'll send it up to the podium.
Welcome to the second press conference of our doubleheader today. Pleased to introduce Mr. Dabo Swinney as Clemson's interim head coach. He'll make a short opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, I appreciate all y'all showing up. Sure, there was a baseball game on tonight or something that might have been a little more interesting TV. I'm gonna apologize to you ahead of time. This is gonna be a pretty raw press conference, probably from some that you guys have had. I obviously hadn't prepared anything for this, and let me just first start by just saying that this is a very bittersweet day for me. I've dreamed of being a head coach, but I certainly never dreamed of getting my first job this way. Tommy Bowden was my first coach at Alabama. He gave me my first opportunity as a player. Hired me here. He's been a great friend, great mentor. I love him. He's a good man, and he's done great for Clemson University. Unfortunately, this is the bad side of this business, and from an emotional standpoint, it's a very, very bittersweet day for me. From a professional standpoint, it's a great opportunity, and I'm going to take it and run with it and do the very best that I can, and try to do everything I can to keep Tim Bray as busy as possible for the next 7 weeks, which should be fun. But, I've worked my whole life to have an opportunity to lead a team, and, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect or have all the answers. I'm going to make some mistakes, but I promise you I'll make them full speed. There will be one gear, and that's wide open, and that's the way I expect the team to play. And we may make some mistakes, but we're going to make them full speed. I am very excited about, having a chance to, see if we can have a fresh start around here. Had a great meeting with the team today, one-on-one meeting with those guys. They responded like I hoped they would, and I'm excited to see what we can do from this point on. With that, I'll take some questions.
You arrived at the office today probably not thinking that 8 o'clock tonight is sitting here. I mean, just kind of describe
Well, kind of like 1990 when I was a sophomore at Alabama and hadn't sniffed the field. And I swear to you, Woody McCorvey didn't know my name. And I had just been through a spring and a summer with him, and I'm over there on the scout team getting ready to do my daily job for Coach Oliver. And, you know, out of the blue, Coach McCorvey, he starts calling my name over from the other field, and I sit there and I'm like, did I miss class? Was I late for something? I'm trying to think, what did I do? And, you know, literally, he called me over there out of the blue, and he told me, he said, Dab, that's what he called me. He said, Dab, he said, I need somebody, and he might not have said it this nice, those of y'all know Woody. He said, Dab, I need somebody to catch the football. He said, I'm going to give you a chance today. If you catch the ball, I'm playing you this Saturday. Now, I don't know if he was trying to fire them other guys up or not. He, to this day, won't admit. That was my opinion. But that was my big break and my great opportunity. And I took it and ran with it. And I went on and led her 3 years and got a scholarship. And here I sit today. And so to answer your question, that's what it felt like, because I certainly didn't see it coming. And, you know, I had to get my wife to bring me some clothes. I came in here with sweatpants and a shirt on. You know, we were, you know, studying the blitz package today. And, you know, but that's how things happen in life. You know, things happen quickly. That's why you always have to prepare. And I'm going to do everything I can to you know, make Clemson proud. One of the things I talked about to the team and talked about to the coaches is, and I've got a little saying on my desk that I've had for years and years and years that says there is nothing less important than the score at halftime. And that's where we are. We're at halftime. And it really doesn't matter about the last 6 games. What matters is what we do this point forward. Whether we were 6-0 or 0-6, you know, or you're up 12 points at half or down 12, it really doesn't matter. What matters is what we do this point forward, and I'm going to do everything I can to do the very best I can. And, you know, one thing I don't want to do is look back in December and say, I wish I should have done this. I wish I'd have done that. You're looking at a coach that has nothing to lose. So, you know, we're going to lay it all on the line, and might be a 7-week career, but it's going to be fun.
The decision not to retain Rob Spence, talk about that, and then talk about what your plans are offensively and how they might differ from what's been done to this point.
Well, the decision to move in a different direction from Coach Spence was mine. You know, let me say this. I love Coach Spence. I've enjoyed my time with him. He's one of the best offensive guys I've worked with. He knows a lot of football. I've learned a lot of football from him. But this is a situation where if you're going to have a fresh start, you know, it's just kind of time for a change and move in a different direction, and that's really what it boiled down to. Offensively, you know, we're gonna do the best we can under the circumstances. A short week. Coach Scott will stay with the Brad Scott will stay with the offensive line. I'm going to promote Mike Dooley, our offensive GA. He's going to move on to the field as our tight end coach. I'm going to move Ron Solkowski, our video GA, as our on-the-field GA, and he'll assist Mike Dooley with the tight ends. Going to move Billy Napier to quarterbacks. Billy will assist me with the game planning and with play calling as well. I will handle the good majority of that. But Billy, as I learned today, it's hard to be in all those meetings and sit there and you know, a lot of things going in a lot of different directions. And so, you know, that's something that I'm going to have to, you know, get balanced over the next few days. But I got a lot of confidence in Billy. He'll do a great job in assisting me. And then I'm gonna promote Jeff Scott full time. I'm gonna move him over to help me with the wide receivers and kind of train him up and tutor him on what we're doing there. He'll do a great job. He's a heck of a young coach. Both of those guys, Mike Dooley and Jeff Scott, will be able to recruit immediately. And Derek Riley, also a video GA, will move on the field for defense and will be the on-the-field defensive GA. So that's what we'll do from an offensive standpoint and a staff standpoint. And I was real pleased. Had a chance to meet with every coach individually today. and had great visits with all of them. I think they're all on board. You know, this is a win-win for everybody. There's a lot of incentive for us to go try to do a good job, but no more incentive greater than what's best for these players. And as I sit here today, I want to make that very clear. It's not about Coach Bowden. It's not about me. It's not about the staff. It's about these kids. It's about this football team. It's about these seniors that have been here for 4 and 5 years that came here with a hope and a promise. It's about them leaving here feeling good about what they've accomplished and being proud of the decision that they made 4 and 5 years ago. And that's what it's going to be about. As long as I'm here, that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about these kids sitting in this room, and, you know, I'm excited to get to work with them. Thought we had a good practice tonight. They bounced around good, and you know, we'll see if we can get after it a little bit better tomorrow.
What about
39-year-old interim head coach at Clemson University, Dabo Swinney, talking to the press this evening, a day of reassignments and a day of change for the Clemson football program. Tommy Bowden out this morning, Dabo Swinney in as the interim.
Right, he said that it's a bittersweet day for him. Of course, he respected Coach Bowden. He said he always wanted to become a head coach, but didn't exactly want to get it in this way. But he also sounded very optimistic in the news conference tonight. He said it's a fresh start, excited to see what they can do. And he said the last 6 games don't matter. They're 3-3 right now. He says it's what we do from this point forward. And if you'd like to continue to follow that news conference, you can go to our website, WYFF4.com. We've got the news conference streaming to our website. Of course, we'll have the very latest coming up tonight on WYFF News 4 at 11. Have a good night.
We return you now to regular programming.